What protein supplements do you recommend?
A lot of aren't what they say they are. They might have a good amount of grams shown on the packet, however this does not mean that it's specifically good for you or even effective.
The only thing that's worth your money in the protein industry is what is the hardest part about starting a business? Any tips? The hardest part has got to be, because it's like anything, if you don't build the foundation and you start building, something's going to give and it's all going to break.
The best way of starting a business is to focus on from the start. How do you keep romanticising life?
3 things you can do to change your life.
We are back with another episode.
And today we're answering even more of your questions. You guys have been sending in so many questions and we can't thank you enough. So today we're going to be answering as many as possible.
Let's get right into it.
Question number 1. What protein supplements do you recommend? Do you have any favourite bars, shakes or flavours? Well,
You've asked the wrong people because...
you kind of have. If you'd asked us a year ago, that's a different story actually.
Yeah, but we've learned.
We've flourished.
A lot of protein supplements aren't what they say they are. They might have a good amount of grams shown on the packet, for example 20 grams. However, this does not mean that it's specifically good for you or even effective. A lot of protein products, so yogurts, bars, ready-made shakes, have lots of sugars and preservatives in them, which will affect your hormones, blood sugar, and internal organs, for example, your heart and your brain. Not only this, but a lot of these products do not contain raw protein, as you might expect. So for these reasons, I would not recommend any of these products.
The only thing that's worth your money in the protein industry is real protein powders. Only some that come in those big tubs or packets. They're the things that you want to be getting if you are getting anything. There are different types of protein powders that you can buy. Now, the most common that you've probably seen is whey protein, W-H-E-Y. This is the best form of protein you could possibly take, particularly whey isolate. So there's 2 types of whey protein and whey isolate protein. Whey isolate is better purely because more of it is absorbed into your bloodstream. So more of the actual protein is going to go into your body and it's going to help you recover, help you build mass, all those things that you're actually taking protein for. So 90% of isolate is actually absorbed in comparison to regular whey, which is around 60 to 80%. So it's still good and it's still the best type overall. However, if you want that extra boost, whey isolate is what you want to be going for. You want to be going for a protein powder that contains BCAAs in them, branched chain amino acids, and there's 3 of these. These are the main amino acids which help with building muscle, recovery, help with muscle weakness. And if they are already in the protein powder you're taking, you do not need to take BCAAs as a separate supplement. It's a waste of money, waste of time. Focus on the powder. Whey protein powder also contains 9 amino acids. And to put that into perspective, there are 9 amino acids that you need to get, which are so important and are the foundations for protein. This is what protein is broken down into. For all of you vegans who can't have whey, really good alternatives is soya protein. That's the best type of protein powder I'd recommend anybody, specifically women. Soya protein is amazing for so many reasons. It has a good absorption rate into the body. Not as good as whey, but it's still very, very good. Soya is also an amazing product to have in general. It mimics the effects of estrogen, which is why it's really good for women. Helps balance your hormones out, helps you with things like menopause, when you're on your menstrual cycle, PMS. Amazing. Also very good for lowering cholesterol. So overall, probably one of the best ones I'd recommend. You've also got other types of protein. So you have pea protein, you have hemp, and you have rice. All three of them are good for different reasons. You've got pea protein, which is very good if you're anemic. It's very high in iron. You've got hemp and you've got rice, which are both easily digestible. So if you have digestion problems, these are really good to take as well.
All really, really good recommendations, especially for getting that extra boost of protein. The best kind of protein to consume will always be from whole foods. This is the most important takeaway. The leanest sources of protein are chicken, turkey, eggs, tuna, and salmon, as they're all low in calorie and fat. Tempeh soya, tofu, chickpeas, lentils, pulses are all great options for protein if you're vegan or vegetarian. That's as much information as we need to provide you in answer to that question. Moving on. Question number 2. What do you do in your spare time other than go to the gym? I'm afraid that is all we do.
Bold of you to assume. No. What do we do? I hate this question because it's like the question when someone's like, tell me a fun fact about yourself. And you know when you then sit there and like you don't know anything about yourself suddenly. It feels a bit like that. We spend a lot of time on our podcast, but away from work as such, we spend a lot of time cooking together, listening to music together, going to nice restaurants.
Yes.
Spas.
Oh, the spa is a new addition and
It
I'm
is.
very happy that it's made the cut.
Oh, me too. And you know what? I don't even know, but we just eat and talk. That's like the main things that we do when you actually like think about it.
Well, that's what inspired this podcast, is the conversations that we have.
Yeah.
We love so much. So
Exactly.
here you go.
There you go.
Anything creative is what I love to do in my personal spare time. And a lot of that is with you, within our podcast. It's a huge amount of work, and it's work that we love doing.
Yeah. And anything that involves talking, I like doing in my spare time, which is why we have a podcast.
I think we need to ask the next question.
Question number 3. I did it again.
What did you do? No!
I don't know why. I've never really done that before.
Why?
I don't really know.
There's something seriously wrong.
Question number 3.
Write in the comments if you agree.
Question number 3. What is the hardest part about starting a business? I want to set my own business up one day, but I don't have a lot of money and I don't know how to start. Any tips?
We can relate.
Yeah, definitely. This is a really good question, actually. It feels a little bit like a year ago or however many years ago, me wrote that to me sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like our younger self wrote that. The first bit, the hardest part, has got to be dedicating time and enough time. A lot of people want to start it on the side as a hustle, and that's exactly what we've done. And it's a really good way to do it because it's the safest way. However, you still need to put a decent amount of time towards it, even on the side. It does take a lot of planning and a lot of foundation work, which we will talk about. The main reason it takes a lot of time is because there's so many elements to starting a business. It's not just the one thing you want to achieve. You need to look into all the elements of a business and that comprise a business: admin, finances, branding, marketing. All of these factors play a part. They need to be considered when you're setting it up, because it's like anything. If you don't build the foundation and you start building, something's going to give and it's all going to break. So be patient, start with the very, very fundamentals, and then you can get into the good stuff. And that's something I struggled with, because you're so passionate and you're so ambitious and you want to get somewhere that you just want to go full speed ahead, but you miss out really important steps that will come back to bite you.
Well said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. From experience, the best way of starting a business is to focus on the organization from the start. As you said, having that foundation is really important, because no matter what you build on top of it, you'll always have that stable base. Once you've organized your time and everything that sits within that, you'll be okay. Some good ways of being really organized are creating to-do lists for immediate, midterm and long-term tasks. So this can be daily, weekly and monthly, Or if you're planning ahead, you can even make this yearly. It's really important not to overload a to-do list with a ton of tasks that are realistically never going to be prioritized and therefore met. So I would limit a daily to-do list to 3 key things that you need to do. The other tasks can be factored into a schedule if you're planning more long term. That's how we've been able to be consistent, which is the key component to any successful business. Having a trajectory for a longer period of time is really important because without creating that vision, it's really hard to commit yourself to something long term. It also means that you can realistically factor in everything that's needed to make the business a success. And that plan can always chop and change with the more experience you gain. So we've revamped plans time and time again for this very reason. A financial sheet for budgets, expenditure, and income is also really important when you are earning money from a business, of course. And also when you have different parties involved, that will be really important. The worst thing to a business is friction, especially with anybody that you might be working with. As part of the foundation work, being really clear about what your business is, what your message or ethos is, your brand identity in that way is really important to nail. You build that more with time and experience in whatever it is that you're doing as a business. But being really clear on that from the start will be super important in knowing where to go with your business. Using the digital tools that are at your dispense, please use them if you're trying to start a business. They're there for a reason. Trello is something I really like to use. You can very easily create task cards, columns for each task so that they're nicely organized. Spreadsheets, Google Documents, anything like that is going to be really helpful to lay different things out.
Use your goddamn calendars, okay? Because I didn't for the longest time ever. And me and Frankie, we had a shared Google calendar so we could see what we were doing. And I just never used it. And I'd never write anything in my calendar ever. So I was like a sort of hot mess. Put reminders on, use your calendars, because there's nothing worse than coming across like a hot mess.
If it matters enough to you, then you will make the time for it. It's as simple as that. We have made the time for it. We've been really clear on what those time boundaries are. We've organised it in a way that works for both of us. We've agreed upon our schedule. These are all really important things. So even if we fluff up in different areas, at least we've got that foundation work laid out for us to account for the mistakes that we might make.
Yeah. Amen to that. I think another big thing that's really important to remember is use the people around you. If they're part of your support system, they're going to want to help you. Think about other people's strengths, other people's weaknesses. Your biggest weakness might be your best mate's biggest strength. That's how me and Frankie work, because we have the complete opposite skills and they therefore complement each other. Now this is different because we've gone into business together, but let's just say we hadn't and I was starting a business and I wanted Frankie to help me. Frankie's very good with the creative side of things, designing, creating, all that sort of visual stuff. She's got the eye for it, she's got the patience for it, the tediousness. I have none of that and I don't care for it. I'm very much, I just want to sort of get on with it and do something and not stare at it for 5 hours and perfect it. If you know a friend like that and that's not your biggest thing, or even in a different skill set, you've got a friend or a family member who is amazing at maths, if they're really good at finance, they're really on the ball with things, and you think, oh my god, they could do my budgeting for me, my spreadsheets, barter with them, negotiate with them. It's a really low expense and high productivity way of progressing, and it will benefit the both of you. So yeah, use the people around you, go to networking events. You can hire a career coach. That's something I did for a little bit. It was amazing. One of the best things I've done. So yeah, think about who's around you and use them to your advantage as well.
Starting a business does not have to be scary or even that expensive. When we started, the most we paid for were qualifications, business cards, and editing tools at a very affordable amount. Over time, as you advance, you may have to spend more, but by that point, you will have made more. So always focus on the step that's right in front of you. Good luck, and you've got this.
We believe in you.
Question number 4. What keeps you going? How do you keep romanticizing life?
I love that question so much.
Romanticizing life is one of the best things you can do for your mental, spiritual, and emotional health. So before we dig into this deeper, let's explain what romanticizing life means. As Google describes it, makes something seem better or more appealing than it initially seems. We have agreed that there is more to it than that.
Yeah.
It isn't to say that life is unappealing, but just that the things you may be focusing on don't seem that appealing because they reoccur every day, and it's easy to forget the joy in those things. So it's really about focusing on the little things in your life that are good, make you smile, and deserve more of your attention. As cringy as this is to say, life is what you make of it, and you get to decide what is worth your time, energy, and thought. It's easy to fixate on the negatives and worst possible outcomes of any given situation, or even dwelling on situations that might not have even happened. And the worst one of all, comparing yourself, your life, to that of somebody else's. So what's really important for us to do today is talk about how to be intentional with romanticizing life, or thinking in a romanticizing way. Please remember that this does rely on perspective. There she goes again. And although this is an abstract topic, we're sure that there will be at least one example of a situation that you guys can relate to.
Now, the more control that you have over your own life, the happier you will be. The people you hang around with, the activities you participate in, the work you put in, what you wear, what you eat, what you spend your time doing, these are all within your control. You also get to decide how much influence somebody else has in your life. You get to choose whether you listen to them, spend time with them, copy them, avoid them, or follow them. Which means you should be spending time doing the things that you love, the things that you enjoy, not what somebody else is doing. What's best for somebody else might not be best for you. Following somebody else's journey might not get you to your destination. We've spoken enough about how you can start thinking in a romanticizing way. These are the next 3 things you can do to change your life. The first thing is finding joy in the little things. This is all the things that most people, and you might even now, turn a blind eye to, not a second thought about. The more attentive you are to the little moments, the happier you'll be. This could be a pretty sky, a good song, a good night out with somebody, enjoying a really good meal, that first sip of coffee in the morning when you wake up. All these little things that seem very minor, it's up to you how you look at them and what you take from them. And to be able to find joy in them, this branches from 2 other things.
Being present, being where your feet are, not constantly fixating on what happened the day before, a year before, or even what might happen ahead. You're truly looking at what's in front of you and being there. And that's important because it's all we have. The second part is practicing gratitude. Gratitude costs nothing. Appreciating the simple things is really important. The everyday things that make your life possible and easier to live. To the relationships in your life, the people that are always there for you.
And not just the other people that are there for you, but the person we neglect the most in our own lives, ourselves. And the fact that you are there for you. The fact that you've always been there for you and you always will be there for you. So give yourself a bit of appreciation as well.
Thank you so much for listening in to this episode. We hope you've enjoyed it and have taken what you can from it.
As always, we really appreciate all the love and support you guys have given us. If you could like, follow, interact with us in any way, it would mean so much to us and it would really go a long way.
You have been listening to
Gains and Gossip. You guys said... Sorry. I think the hardest part about starting a business is, without fail, 100% definitely.
Sorry.
What is it?
You just kept going. I was trying so hard to hold on. It's like you're taking them on a ladder.
That's the point. Is 100% has got to be.
And compose.
Are you ready? Get your laughs out. The hardest part has... The hardest part, without fail, 100%. What are you doing again?